A very good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Thursday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It's the 2nd of May. I hope you're all safe and well wherever you are. Before we continue with the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I do greatly appreciate that. I also appreciate the likes on the video as well because that helps myself and it also tells YouTube that you're enjoying the content as well. So I do greatly appreciate your ongoing support. If you're new to the channel, a very warm welcome to you. If you're an existing subscriber, equally thank you for your ongoing support to the channel. It is much appreciated. Plenty of interesting content coming up in the days and weeks to come. Obviously, I released the new Weather Talk series back last Saturday, speaking to our very good friend Gavin Partridge of GavsWeatherVids. He does a terrific job over on his own channel. It continues to grow and expand, and it was an absolute pleasure to get the chance to speak on an hour-long interview with Gavin back a couple of weekends ago. So that video is freely available for you to check out if you haven't already done so. And I'm delighted to also say that there is another couple of people that are lined up next in line to get a chat with myself, and it's also a video. Actually, a way back in 2009, I done a kind of similar idea, but it was in text form. I spoke with several folks on the phone, and then I wrote up the interview on what was originally weather and climate through the eyes of Mark Vogan. Obviously, is a lot changed since then, and essentially I've brought that idea back, but instead of it being in text form, it's a video interview, which I think is a great new way of expanding my own channel here and delivering unique content. That is the goal here on Marfog and Weather on YouTube, to create unique content, unbiased, unhyped weather information that essentially you may not get elsewhere. So I'm very excited about the next couple of folks that are going to be lined up in the next week or so. I don't have a next date in terms of releasing the next person that will be interviewed, but it may be possibly this upcoming Saturday, but I'm not entirely sure about that. So if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, and then you will not miss this new and exciting series on the channel, Weather Talk by myself, Mark Vogan. So anyway, live stream also this upcoming Sunday at 4 p.m. So if you happen to have some free time, do join me on Sunday afternoon, where we'll be talking all things global weather, and it will be the 90th edition of the Global Weather and Climate Report. Hard to believe it's up to 90 videos now on that particular feature. So we continue to move on. This is the current visible satellite at the time of recording, which is around 4:15 in the afternoon. The sun is out. It is a beautiful day for many people, but not all. If you're stuck under this bank of cloud here, draped between London and the far southeast corner, all the way up to northwestern Wales, across the heart of the Republic of Ireland as well, it is essentially a disappointing early May afternoon. On the coast, even with the sunshine, it feels distinctly cool in that breeze coming in off the sea. As you push westwards across the UK, you're seeing the temperatures rising, and this is the current temperature profile across the UK according to MeteoSale. One thing I did notice here was the very distinct north-south gradient in temperature across the island of Ireland here. We've got knocking the door of 20 Celsius at Port Glenanne or Glenone. I think that might be the pronunciation of that. I do apologise for getting that probably wrong. 19.4 Castle Derg. But then as you get further south, the Shannon Airport, and it's a cool 9.2 Celsius currently at the moment. Even down at Cork, it's only 8.8 Celsius. What is the wind chill actually, out of interest, for that location, Cork Airport? It's only feeling like 5.6 Celsius. So that is a rather chilly, raw afternoon. Many people enjoying 20, 21 Celsius, even upwards of 23 Celsius. But others, like folks at Cork, are seeing temperatures less than 9 Celsius and a wind chill mid-single figures here, so a distinctly chilly flavour of weather. Here at the Liscombe, it's only 8.1 Celsius. What's the real field temperature? It is only feeling like 4 Celsius. Get a few hundred miles to the north, and it is feeling very different indeed. This is Woodvale on what appears to be the Cumbria or Lancashire coast. I think that might actually be more Lancashire as opposed to Cumbria. Yes, it would be. And it's at 23 Celsius. So, what a difference between Liscombe and Woodvale. That is a very notable difference in temperature. We've got the low 20s in East Anglia, like we've seen yesterday afternoon. We've got the temperatures of only 9 Celsius on the in the high elevations of Yorkshire at the moment here and along the coastline. Slightly warmer than it was yesterday in Inverbervie. We're sitting on 11.6 Celsius with a wind chill of 7.9. But then as you get up towards the Northwest Highlands, as those winds cross over the land, they do tend to warm up, especially with the help of sunshine and some firn effect. We've got a temperature back at around 20 Celsius at Old Bay. I think the temperature yesterday was 21.8 Celsius. And we do actually have Oban Airport at 22 Celsius. So a very, very pleasant afternoon, especially in the west of Scotland and generally the western side of the UK. But we do have, like I say, really from East Anglia up to the Lancashire coast, we've got a swathe of around upper teens to low 20s. So quite a contrast across the UK this afternoon and also across the continent of Europe. We've got some quite big contrasts. Unusually cool conditions across much of France and Spain and Portugal at the moment here. That extends into central areas of Europe. To the north, we've got the temperatures as high as 25, 26 Celsius across central and northern Germany. Into Poland, we've got the highs of 26, possibly 27 Celsius. That's extending into Ukraine and Moldova as well. Then, as you drift a little bit further south, you've got slightly cooler air, as you can see here, and then into northern portions of Turkey. Rather chilly early May day here. Remember that we've had temperatures as high as around the upper 30s, even to around 40 Celsius in the last week to 10 days. In Turkey, we've had nighttime temperatures as high as 31, I think it was. So, pretty remarkable stuff, actually, when you think about that. And this is how it looks in terms of temperature anomaly according to the GFS. So, we've got firmly warmer than average across many areas of the UK, but like I said, underneath that cloud cover, we've got the cooler than average across mid and south Wales, southern England, and particularly down into Somerset, Dorset, Kent, marginally so, and then down into Cornwall and Devon, we've got below average conditions, and then you've got the island of Ireland, like I say, we've got firmly warmer than average across Northern Ireland and the northern side of the Republic of Ireland, but then central and southern areas firmly below average. Look at the anomaly across France and Iberia. Even down into the north of Africa, we've got firmly below average conditions. Now, actually, when you look back at that the visible satellite image here, what we've essentially got is that area of low pressure well out to the west. But it's this demarcation zone is marked by this cloud cover. So look at all the cloud cover over central and eastern France at the moment here. This is very, very chilly air compared to normal, wrapping around out of Greenland, out of Iceland here, around this bank of cloud which separates two very distinct air masses. We've got very mild conditions moving in from the east across much of the UK and Ireland, but we've also got some very chilly air compared to normal anyway on the southern flank of this, moving in from a northwesterly direction. Hence why France, Iberia, northwestern Africa is below average conditions at the moment. Remember, I said in recent days that even down in Morocco, where I was, there was actually a distinct chill in that breeze during the afternoon. In the sunshine, out of the wind, it felt very pleasant indeed. But in the wind, you could actually feel a slight chill even in the middle portions of the afternoon. Now, bear in mind that the temperatures are naturally mid 20s at this time of the year. So quite interesting. The contrast that we're seeing across the continent at the moment here in terms of radar and rainfall. there is not that much to speak about away from the southeast corner of the Republic of Ireland here. We've got a few showers dotted around the southeast Midlands here, possibly down towards the Bristol area. But all in all, you have to go down into the north of France to see any kind of shower activity. So the majority of the UK and Ireland is void of any rainfall at the current hour that we're talking at the moment here. So quite interesting stuff. This is the 850 temperature anomaly here, and with that area of low pressure over the near continent, that's wrapping around that mild moist air into the UK and Ireland here. Area of low pressure out to the west, that is kind of enhancing that feed of unusually cooler in the parts of France, in the portions of Spain and Portugal as well, Morocco, Algeria as well, feeling the chill. So we've got a very notable contrast, and it's basically the driving mechanism between the contrast is this low over the near continent that has been feeding a tremendous amount of energy into the southern half of the UK. If you were down in the south of England last night, you probably woke to heavy showers and thunderstorms during the overnight period, probably kept you awake or woke you up from your sleep as those storms moved in from France across the Channel and into the southern half of the British Isles. So, as we move towards the upcoming bank holiday weekend, what is the weather conditions going to be like? Well, there's that area of low pressure at 998 millibars seen by the ECMWF. Plenty of showers across southwestern England, South Wales, parts of the Republic of Ireland as well. There's that easterly flow making it feel chilly in the east but pleasantly warm in the west. And we've got that messy conditions on the southern flank of the low here. Very, very showery weather to speak about across parts of France, into the Alps, into northern Italy, down into the Balkan region as well. But high and dry largely as you get north of the Alps into Germany, Poland, Czech Republic. Uh, Fairly warm afternoon, as I showed you on the Meteo Seal website. Let's have a play through the next few days here, and you can see what's taking place. Keeping our eyes closely fixed on that area of low pressure, that is going to nudge its way northwestwards over the next few days here, enhancing showers and thunderstorms. We've got slightly fresher conditions now moving in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. Factor in that strong mid-August strength sun, and you've got that ingredients together for enhanced lift within the atmosphere, triggering showers, triggering thunderstorms, and slow moving showers and thunderstorms at that, because we've got a fairly relaxed pressure gradient over the UK. We don't have any distinct deep area of low pressure, so we've not got much in the way of wind here. So winds are light. It means that when those showers develop, they could be quite slow moving, may drop a fair amount of rain in a short space of time. But as we play through the course of the weekend, we still have that threat of showers. We also have the ECMWF seeing that area of low pressure that's currently well out to the west over the Atlantic at the moment. That's kind of trundling its way slowly eastwards, because at the moment the jet stream is actually quite weak. It's quite wavy. We've got one arm going north, we've got one arm going south, and this is naturally one of the weakest times of the year for the jet stream on average. That means it becomes harder to distinguish types of weather pattern, what movement an area of low pressure is going to do if you've got a very slack steering flow in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. But you notice here that we've got plenty of showers to speak about at midday on Saturday. Some showers over the UK, but not really widespread, nothing particularly significant really, but we're going to have a kind of day of sunshine and showers overall, I think, here. But certainly quite an unsettled picture across Central and Southern Europe, as you can see here from this latest ECMWF run. More showers and thunderstorms moving into the northern half of Iberia, as you can see. And that area of low pressure doesn't really do a whole lot. It just means that we've got a relatively weak pressure field over the UK. That means that we enhance the chance of seeing less capping of the atmosphere. So therefore, you've got that little layer of cool above warm that attracts the air to rise, cool, condense, and precipitate shower activity here. Then, as we move into the day on Sunday here, now this is the latest run of the ECMWF. You can see here that we may have more organised showers and thunderstorms developing across the southern half of the UK. Notice here that we've got a lack of shower activity further north. That's because higher pressure is present across northern England, Scotland, Northern Ireland. So we've got a little bit more capping of the atmosphere with a higher pressure across the north. Lower pressure to the south means that you've got a drier north and somewhat wetter south. As we continue to play through into the early portions of next week, we still have the presence of showers developing a little bit more widely, possibly across Scotland, but also we've got that area of low pressure almost kind of over the channel, over the western side of the English Channel, bringing showers and thunderstorms, possibly more organised and steady rain on the northern flank of that low, say the Midlands, South Midlands into South and Mid Wales. We may have more in the way of longer spells of rain on the northern side of that low, but the details are a little bit hard to pinpoint down, so we have to take this with somewhat of a pinch of salt. Then, as we continue to play through the course of next week, it looks as if higher pressure is going to become a little bit more established. We're going to lose the shower threat more. Doesn't mean that we're going to have a completely dry day or two. We may have, but likely we will still see showers developing, but less widespread and less heavy. More in the way of sunshine and drier conditions here as we play through the course of next week. You can see here a frontal system trying to move in on the northern flank of the high into the northwest of the UK here, as can be seen in the latest run of the GFS, or the ECMWF, should I say. And then we may have a threat of something coming into the northwest as we go forward. Now, this, by the way, I want to have a quick look at the updated version of the May forecast. Remember, before I went to Morocco, I did publish a kind of broad brush May outlook, but it was back on the 22nd of April, very long way before we even reached the end of April. I've kind of tweaked it, I've kind of updated it, and we'll go through that in just a little second here. But this is the past 60-day temperature anomaly chart. The reason why I'm showing you the 60-day is because this is a good representation of what we've seen when you combine the month of March and April together. This is what the temperature profile looks, and it is firmly warmer than average across the vast majority of the continent here. Close to average across Scotland to the north of the M8 corridor between Glasgow and Edinburgh, but really from the the central belt southwards, it's firmly warmer than average for the past 60-day period. Get into the near continent, it's warmer than average, with exceptions of eastern Switzerland, not Switzerland, Sweden, and over the Gulf of Bothnia, we've also got slightly cooler than average temperatures, probably because of ice on the water still. That's probably creating a little bit of a refrigeration effect here, hence why we're slightly below average for the last 60 days or so. Then, as we move to the past 14 days, so the past 2 weeks, this is what the anomaly looks like. So, over the past 2 weeks, Europe has actually been quite cold, which is quite interesting. And then, as we go to the past 7 days, you can see here that it has been cooler than average across the UK and Ireland and much of France, and particularly so across Spain and Portugal. Central and southeastern Europe, in particular, has been firmly warmer than average over the past week or so. So let's get right to it. Let's skim quickly through this because I think I've spoken long enough today already. But you can see here that I speak about the potential of a wet start. Well, we know it's a wet start across particularly England and Wales for the month of May. But as we push into the second week of May, we may start to see quite a significant change taking place here. So I've already said, could May be our first drier than average month in months? That is a real possibility. Now, the CFSV2 latest shows the 500 millibar pattern looking like this. Area of low pressure over south central Europe. Strongest high pressure across the north. So therefore, you would expect to see lower pressure to the south, higher pressure to the north, and therefore a drier north, wetter south scenario. That is what I would expect to see with that situation. Now, this is the upcoming 5 days of the GFS ensemble. Pretty much goes very nicely with what we've got so far. Flabby areas of weak low pressure that's kind of running underneath a very, very weak jet stream at the moment here. not really getting driven along by any steering flow, so therefore it's hard to pinpoint where the movement of these lows will be. Higher pressure in the north means that we've got an easterly flow, so therefore cool east, warmer west is generally the rule of thumb. I know East Anglia and the Midlands are warmer than average, but you get the overall idea anyway. Week 2, so this is really day 6 to 10. You can see here that higher pressure is building. Remember, I showed you on the ECMWF model that the higher pressure tries to build into the early portions of next week here. Then in the week, well, the second half of week 2 into week 3, so this is day 11 through 15, still have higher pressure in the west, lower pressure in the east. That would generally point overall to a drier theme, but remember there's always little caveats to that as well. Now, interesting enough, day 16 through 20 of the GFS ensemble, that's the period 16th through the 21st, we start to lose the higher pressure and the height field becomes neutral with a concentration of above average heights across the south of the continent. That would constitute the potential, at least, of Atlantic weather trying to make a comeback across the UK and Ireland, and therefore we would expect to see wetter than average conditions return as well. Into the period between the 22nd and the 27th of May, looks as if the model sees higher pressure building back across the north once again. Therefore, you would expect to see drier north and somewhat wetter south, with a threat of lows, possibly thundery lows, moving from the Gulf Bay of Biscay northwards towards the southern half of the UK. That would be the idea that I would have. So in terms of rainfall distribution, I go on to say that we will have a wet opening week across southern Ireland, England, Wales, drier further north across the Northern Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. The pattern looks likely to turn drier for most week 2 and perhaps extend into week 3. But as the pattern may flip from high over low to likely low over high, if that makes sense, rainfall should increase. So you can see the GFS ensemble seeing that open in 7 days, wetter than normal across England, Wales, and the southern portions of Ireland, drier across the north. In the week 2, drier more across the board as high pressure moves in more bodily. And then even into the period 15th through the 22nd, it's still showing largely drier than average, and therefore it would point towards this drier idea for the month of May. Into the period between the 22nd and the 29th of May, you can start to see that the GFS ensemble is bringing the return of wetter than average conditions, especially across England and Wales and most of the Republic of Ireland. Drier Northern Ireland and Scotland because of the return of higher pressure across the north. That is a possibility. So, in all, we may actually see a dry north, wet south for the UK in the month of May. And then obviously you have to kind of average the whole UK out. It might be close to average, but firmly drier across Scotland, but wetter than average across England and Wales. It's very difficult to pinpoint exactly. I think overall we're looking at a warmer than average, if not near average, temperature wise across the UK. So to summarize, overall, I expect an average to slightly above average month in terms of temperature for the month of May, with average to below average rainfall for both the UK and Ireland. However, while the UK as a whole may be average to drier than average, the southern UK could well be wetter while the north is drier. So that is basically just to summarize the updated version of the May 2024 outlook. And let me know in the comments section below what you think about that. And as I've already said, in the coming weeks to come, the release of the 2024 summer forecast will be available at some point at the very end of the month, so something to look forward to. I also hope to update the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season forecast as well, so do stay tuned for that also. And like I've already said as well, the second interview in the new series Weather Talk will be coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. And as I've already mentioned, the live stream coming up this Sunday. So plenty of reason to stick around here in Marfrig and Weather. So like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.